start streaming. And we wait for a few seconds again. All right, everybody. Hey, guess what? It's Education with Ed. It is Sunday, April 7th, 2019. We're a little bit late. My daughter decided to be very vocal and couldn't start while she was screaming. So, it's new. It's babies. Babies like to, that's the only way they like to talk. So, but,
Yeah, until they know any better.
they know better. They just don't, they don't, yeah. They're stubborn. They know better. They know better.
They're still in the diapers. They don't know anybody till they get any better,
Wait, wait,
till they
wait,
get to the
wait.
training pants.
Who else is still in the diapers? Are you saying you don't know any better, Ed?
Ow. Damn, I hate it when you have to do something like that. Throw it back at me. God, you
uh,
think I've never done that to you?
I actually don't fall into the traps as often as you do. Anyway,
Oh, thanks a lot. Oh, yeah, okay.
we're just going to call
God,
it
the swamp
senility,
is getting
okay?
big. Huh?
We're just going to chalk it up to senility.
Okay, I was just saying the swamp is getting awfully deep.
Yeah, well, most of the shit's yours, but anyways. Everybody, guess what? Yeah, as you can tell, we're actually having fun here, but Ed does have some interesting information, I hope. Hope it's just not another rant like he's been doing lately. And it hopefully will be educational. Other than that, enjoy the rant, guys. Ed, take it away.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Well, I don't know about the rant. I mean, I've been out of the hospital for the last 5 months, died 9 times, so I don't, looking at what's going on. But the whole point, getting into the structure, is that people got to realize what's coming down the pike. If you're not paying attention and reading between the lines in the media about filing and owning yourself and owning your bloodline, owning your rights, is this coming down the facts? Is this a reality? It is being talked about. Even mainstream media is talking about bloodline, and everybody keeps going, huh? People are bringing more and more up about the bloodline, because if your bloodline ties you in on this soil more than 5 or more generations, or ties you all the way back to the Constitution. Okay, everybody goes, well, I've been here since the Mayflower. Mayflower don't give a damn. The Constitution is what the treaties and the structure with the natives. Because the Mayflower, you didn't have treaties with the natives. And if you really go by history compared to what they're trying to tell the general public, it wasn't like what it is. Thanksgiving Day was actually the slaughter of natives. So going back in history and going through these phases of comprehending what the truth is compared to the imagination is. Now, I've been putting some information out, and I'm getting this other stuff that is going on, dealing with filing on your rights. And if you don't file the criminal charges, this come up with several groups on Facebook now that are finally talking about filing the criminal charges. Well, everybody knows I've been preaching that for years, and that goes all the way back to dealing when I did with the Pamela and Will Guston case. So the thing is that if you don't file the charges, and this is what I'm getting to, I'm trying to bend on the line and talking to people, and if you don't file the charges, they don't exist. A state attorney general, a judge, a prosecutor, a cop cannot file charges. They can take a report, and that is technically hearsay witness into a court system called a grand jury. I've argued with people on the grand jury structure, and you got to realize that when it's a corporation, it's hearsay evidence. So when you go to court, you're going by, they said hearsay evidence. The cop's allowed to lie. The district attorney's allowed to lie. The judge is allowed to lie. And then they tell you, we can't be prosecuted. Well, I just put out that information that, yes, they can be prosecuted as a crime. If they are going under, I think it's Title 42, 108, if they are not going by the oath of their servitude, it's a federal crime. So this is the point that you have to file the charges, and everybody keeps going, well, everybody needs to file these charges. I mean, go battling back and forth with people on the internet and even emails, and it's like, if you're not filing the charges, how is it to exist? How is it to exist? You know, and everybody wants to talk about the word person. I'm a person. He's a person. We all are persons. Pepsi had a commercial about that back in the 80s. Didn't anybody comprehend that structure, what Pepsi commercial did back in the 80s? I think it was like 83 when it came out. But see, you got to start realizing what the world is saying here. If you're going along with the corporation structure, you can't have it. Either you want your rights and you want freedom, or you're going by the corporation. People say, well, you can't do both. Well, to a degree, yes, you can. But this is the point of reading the system. It's like I've had a lot of conversation with people over the tax codes. And we do have that on new.org and trackers. We got more and more input up, even with the structure with the Vatican and Puerto Rico and how it's all set up that way. That's the one thing you got to remember. The taxes are not for taxes of lawful bloodline. Taxes are for the Bankruptcy Act of the bankrupt of the British government. They have to raise the money to pay we the people. So this is the one thing that's coming down. Now I'm getting ready. I'm going to be starting this week, raising the hell with the city of Toledo and trying to get the newspapers to publish my stuff. I'm going to be going really heavy on this because I mean I can prove. I've got the evidence to prove everything what they've done, including when in 2006, when the mayor, city council, senators, including Kate Brown, tried to put me in federal prison, said I was faking my injuries. So, I mean, and that's what I'm getting ready. Now I'm going to do it. I mean, I've been dead 9 times. I have nothing to lose. Who cares? The only one who cares is me. So, and then that comes down to our rights, because if you don't file for your rights, who gives you rights? And people all the time saying, oh, God gives me rights. The Magna Carta gives me rights. The Magna Carta is from England, not American. Either you're in the Article 1 administrative court system, or you're in an Article 3 court system with a grand jury. And that's it. There's no separation. And I've been going back and forth with numerous people in conversation that are trying to tell me, well, you got to clarify your status, Ed. And it's like, I have. I'm native. So clarify if you're native or an immigrant. Because once we know how that works, then we can start saving this country. That's what's going to save it. Okay, that's the reality. I mean, even the terrorist, the foreign agent Obama, put some of the Indian treaties as the head of the state. And you got to realize that he did that. Not only that, he was a foreigner. But he came through that, and by administrative rules, he followed that and did that part. The rest of it is treason. But step out and see how this production works. You know, it's like I always talk about the movie Interstate 60. You know, watch it. It'll explain the court system. So when you get this structure, it's like everybody keeps going, well, the state's taking my kid. And it's like, did you file for your kid? Do you own your kid? I always love when people say, I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. And it's like, are you an adult? Because the example that we're supposed to be setting to the children is adults setting to the children, so that way they are putting their rights in place, putting their structure intact. So, and I mean, we've got some new stuff that I've sent to the producer that we're going to get up on new.org and trackers. I know I've buried him in quite a few things off and on for the last several months. Nothing new. Because, I mean, I get in these whims and I email them, and it's like, you know, I put different structures together of different ways of using stuff. But that's for you guys to read and go through it. Your case is your case. Your circumstance is your circumstance. But remember, if you're not filing corpus delicti in your cases, it will not go through. All right? They let a handful of cases go through to play the corporate game. Because remember, it's a corporate game. But when the Constitution, you have to go to a real court. Now, the city of Toledo just sent me some more registered, certified signatures. They want signatures trying to get me to a contract with my boats on my property. And they're trying to get my boat off my property. So, playing games. So now I have to step up this week. So I'm going to be putting some stuff around. We'll see if the newspaper writes it. I'm going to be publishing it on Facebook, and then we'll get on new.org and trackers. So that will be, published by the end of the week or next week, because this stuff has to be published, because I'm going to be going out to the papers and what they have done. And this is the point. People say, oh, yeah, just pray to God, let it go. Pray for forgiveness for these people. They did all this shit, and it's like bullshit. And neither should you put up with that. People cause you harm. Hey, they wrote it. Do unto others and want others to do unto you, but do it lawfully, legally. Don't go out and do crazy stuff. Do the research, figuring out how to file the paperwork on these domestic terrorists. And always read 1938 Foreign Administration Registration Act. And you folks have to read this stuff, because you have to know how the 1940 Administration Act even applies to the 1938 Foreign Administration Act. See, it's like I have people all the time says, well, Ed, how can you prove that it's 5 more generations? I've proved it. It's written. It's in congressional record. And it's like, and I always have people say, well, it doesn't directly say that. And it's like, it does too. But you got people out there that are going to tell you this because they don't want the truth out, because they're either making money or they're court reporter, public pretender, or, somewhere in those lines. And this is our responsibility to do this stuff with our children, to get them out there, get them educated, and start working with them. So I've got quite a few things that are going to be coming out this week, and I don't want to get into all that until the following week, this coming weekend we'll do that, and then the following week we'll take a week off, because I want to get some of this information out while I'm here, and then I got to go back up north because I'm in an extensive medical care right now, which I'm not arguing about. It's one of those things. Hey, what do you got to do for it? You just got to deal with it. You got to do it. So, and this is the bottom line comes down to is knowing your rights. It's like everybody keeps going, oh, you have to fill out this, you have to do that. And it's like I'm explaining to people, learn how the wording is the rest. Learn how these wordings are done. You got to be polite. I go in the hospital, oh, we need to do this, that, and the other thing. I can't do it. See, it's being polite. You don't have to always create a ruckus. And trust me, I know I created a lot of ruckus in my time. Anybody knows that, seen it on YouTube videos over the years, too. But see, the one thing about this is comprehending of how to win the circumstances. Now we got the structure. We know about the cities. We know about the county. We know about the state administrative rules. Now we got to file the criminal charges on these public servants. If you don't do that, you lie to your children. It's simple, because you're not fighting for your country. It always disturbs me. All these people say, well, I'm going to let somebody else do it. I get people all the time that says, oh, Ed, write my case for me. And it's like, I don't know your case, number one. I'm not going to stop my life because of my circumstances in my life to take care of your case. And if you're not willing to learn why I'm trying to explain things when you ask me to do some suggestions, and you want to argue, then argue. But prove me wrong first before you want to argue. Because that's the one thing that we are starting to win. Come on, you're seeing it state and federally going on. You're watching even Yahoo News coming up with stuff with the border and stuff that people are freaking out over. And that is the one thing that if we don't start protecting this structure, we are going to be cannibals in the next 30 years. Guaranteed you. This ain't no joke. Look at history. 7 major countries are feeding human cadaver meat in their grocery stores. How do we stop it? I've been pushing for a natural hatchery project on the West Coast for 40 years. So, and it's like, that way you don't, what they do today, ODF&W sterilizes the fish when they put them out, the salmon, trout, whatever they put out, whatever they're involved in. None of that food resources should ever be sterilized. Because it's food. We got to put it out there, because if something happens in the craziest, in the atmosphere of the earth here, we got to be able to have something to fall back on. And so when it comes to like ODF&W of your state and these things, when you see this stuff, what they're doing, write them and say we need the hatchery programs running. We need not to sterilize the fish. And all these watershed programs, these are people that couldn't get a job elsewhere. So it is stepping out. We do have some stuff that is moving, and we got to really take a look at the future here, how we're going to be able to preserve it. So anyhow, I wanted to make it short and sweet tonight. We're going to open up the floor, see if anybody's got anything to say, because I got to start getting this process going, and I will start getting it publicized on what I'm filing on the city county. It will go to the New York Times, the State Attorney General, and Oregon State, and others. I'm going to be raising heck. I'm going to try to get some newspaper to pick this up, because I'm going after property taxes. I can even prove that they're charging me property taxes when they can't, even by their own administrative rules. It's like, the right to travel. I'm told if I do that, I'll be assassinated. All right, let's go with the newspaper. Let's see who's got the courage. I'm told I'll be assassinated. Here's the paperwork. Here's the structure. I've already filed over this shit over the last 10 years, or a little longer. So, and now it's time to start standing up. Now, when this happens, people got to start standing up with their own cases and bring them out. And there are some of those people that just need to keep filing their paperwork and stay in the background. But the others need to start standing up and start producing, and there are a few that needs to be staying in the background. So we got to respect these points of view, because you got to remember the Democracy Party is there ready to wreck us anytime they can. You got to remember, these people don't care about their children. They don't care about the Bible. They don't care about religion. They care about themselves. So it is a frustrating situation we are living in, the circumstances of these things. So, anyhow, like I said, I'll be starting maneuvering this stuff next week, because I've been called, I've been suggested it's time to start maneuvering on these things because of what's going on. Still amazed I'm here after what I've gone through. So, and it's hard to say what, why, and how. So we haven't got the responses on that one, but at least I know I'm still here in the circumstances. So with that, why don't we open up the floor?
All participants are unmuted.
Anybody would like to add anything?
Yeah, I was wondering, Ed, on Friday and Saturday, they were looking to hire 500 more men and women for law enforcement. I wondered,
yes.
It was on OregonPoliceJobs.com. How many of them did they get hired from 10 o'clock Friday till 3 o'clock Friday, and from 10 o'clock Saturday till 3 o'clock Saturday? Did they get their 500 more police people?
That's a good question. And if you would send me an email, I'll have that answer for you next week.
Well, I don't. It's
because I haven't had a chance to check on it. Go ahead.
All you have to do is punch in OregonPoliceJobs.com, and that information comes up.
Right. But I haven't looked at it yet.
Yeah. Well, I announced it on the radio last week about Tuesday, and said they were, hey, anybody that wants police jobs, go to Salem, and it's at 4190 Almsville in Salem, and put in your application for law enforcement. They needed law enforcement. Kate Brown wants a lot more law enforcement, but she doesn't want to return the kicker taxes back to the people. Bobby needs some of that money because, 500 more law enforcement, that costs a lot of money with the PERS and their $1 million life insurance, and then their wages, and then teaching the law enforcement officers. So anyway, they were looking.
I'm just saying that's a good one to look into.
Yeah. Anyway, it's on OregonPoliceJobs.com. That's all.
And we're going to have to put that on the website in that structure of the police stuff we have. So, good point. We appreciate you bringing that to our attention because I wasn't aware of that. Because I know they're panicking trying to return the money. I know they're freaking out because they don't want to return the money. And actually, the deal is that there's $14 billion that they have to return to the taxpayers, and they're trying not to return it to us. So, and that's part of the structure where House Resolution 192 comes in, where we're supposed to write off the bills and do all this stuff. This is what I wrote and put together with the evidence and put into, what do they call that? The Utility Commission for the State of Oregon Corporation. So, no, that's a good one. We'll hit that one. We'll get some questions on that. We'll get that put up on the website, and that needs to be brought up, and that should be a good conversation in the next couple weeks, too. So, anybody else?
Say, Ed?
Yep.
I've been trying to find the procedures for the police, what they're allowed to do and what they're not allowed to do. Been trying to, I don't know, I know that some of the stuff that you find in Oregon, it applies in Oregon, but I'm trying to find the same thing for Texas. The only problem is I can't seem to locate it. Now, I know that a lot of the stuff that they publish for Oregon, Texas has the same thing too, but it's just in a different spot. What am I doing wrong? Is there any keywords or something I should look up or something like that?
I'll have to figure that out because I know I sent you stuff way back on that. And I know I got some stuff listed, but that's going to take me a couple hours or a day to go through to send it to you. So give me a couple days and I'll send it to you.
Okay.
No, I'll get it posted. Go ahead.
When I was helping somebody, I wanted to see the manual. So I went to the state police and wanted to get the entire manual, state police manual. They refused. So I went to the governor's office. The governor wasn't in, but I got next in command. Next in command called him up and said, under the public records request and FOIA and so on, I was to have that manual. Well, they called the Attorney General up. The Attorney General called back right away and was puffing and puffing not to give it to me. There was an argument between the second in command of the governor's office and the AG. They decided they better give it to me. So I went over and got it, and it worked out really great because the manual was a pretty big book. Everything that they can stop you, they can do. Very good manual. That's what I do.
Well, and also, too, when a cop pulls you over, you're supposed to be able to provide his pocket manual to you by law. Anybody familiar with that one by any chance? So, but yeah, they have a pocket manual that they have for their codes and administrative rules that they're supposed to go by. And when a public servant, then when the employer requests it, the public servant is required to give it to the employer. So, I mean, there's a lot of things with that is a reality. So, and that is the main thing. When they have to go by their administrative rules, we have to make sure they go by their administrative rules. And I even put up the court case with the last filings I've done, that the courts even say that it's your responsibility to make sure your public servants do their job. It's your responsibility. It's not the mayor, the city council, Timbuktu, or anybody else. It's yours. So these are things that have to be looked into. So, anyhow, anybody else got anything they want to add? Okay. Well, with that, we'll go see you Saturday. We'll say good night. May the Great Spirit, Mother Earth, give you life, and the Creator look over you.
All right. Thank you very much, Ed. A short show, but hopefully it was educational. At least now you know how to get the manual for the policy officers. So with that, guys, we'll see you next week, I guess, even though I was under the impression that we were going to take every other week, which meant next week was going to be off. But, of course, when the Diva Star decides that he wants, producer has to sit there and accept the whip and do what he wants. So, we'll see you next week.
Thank you for allowing me to have my wham-wham.
Now, hey, I have a full jug of wine here, and I will use it all up if I have to.
Well, wait a minute. You can't use it up until I get there.
No. This is my wine time, damn it. All right. With that, we'll see you next week. And then after that, we will take a break. Right, Ed? Do I have you on record?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, so that is a contract.
That is a verbal contract. Because I'll be back up with the hospital and going through major tests and all that back in 14 days.
Okay. I'll send you the instrument so that you can autograph it, and we can have it concrete and ironclad.
Yep.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next week for more Education with Ed and Disclaimers by Ed Johnston. So have a good week. Don't get into too much trouble. And remember. Exactly, right there. What she's saying. She didn't like me getting out there. You did the old spoil the rod, spare the rod, spoil the child. Does do it, but you don't have to go overboard. You don't get them all black and blue. Come on. All right, with that, guys, have a good night.